My mother was a teacher, and she would be always so excited about different things. Sometimes if it's holidays, she'd be making little things. And she said, well, you can help me make them. So I would check some of her papers, and I just wanted to be like my mom. She was kind of my model, my role model at that time. You have to be firm, and then you have to love children. You know, today they have so many outside interest things that they could do, and you just have to really motivate the children. When you get down to it and you start on your children, it usually takes the first 6 weeks to get them kind of to come in quietly and do whatever you want them to do. And after that, and you know, just have, just try to manage, be able to manage your classroom, have certain rules and everything. And if you start out that way, you're not gonna have too much trouble with your class. I had a little boy, and he said, you know, Miss Branch, my dad is a good cook. I said, really? He said, I asked him to bake you a cake. Do you like pineapple cake? He makes the best pineapple cake. I said, I really do, but don't you get your father to bake me a cake? So the next day, school was almost out, and he stepped up there with the cake. But let me tell you this before. So he said, I asked my dad, how do you think Miss Branch is? I said, what did he say? She's no spring chicken.
I enjoy children, and I enjoyed every phase of my work. I certainly recommend that as a teacher, that one would become acquainted with the parents, with the homes from which those youngsters come. If you go into teaching, be sure that it's something that you want to do. There are some ups and some downs. Draw from those experiences. Children do not forget whether or not you're there just for a paycheck or whether you're there in their best interest. They can tell whether or not you like or merely tolerating them. Bring out the best in the students that you teach so that they will have fond memories of you when they leave.
When I was in high school, I had an English teacher who always told me, you should be an English teacher. He said, you know all those verbals and infinitive phrases and things. And I think she was probably my inspiration for becoming a teacher. I remember one thing that happened, there were some firecrackers thrown out the window because the windows were up, and Mr. Jackie could hit the floor, you know, faster than anybody I'd ever seen. So he came to my door and said, Miss Curtis, somebody threw a firecracker out the window. I went, no, they didn't. And he went, yes, they did. And he looked in the back and said, you 3 boys come with me. And of course, one of them had done it. And I saw that kid maybe a year ago at one of the Dunbar functions, and he told me, he just laughed about the whole thing, but he told me, I want to apologize because I was the one that threw that firecracker out the window. Today's children are quite different, but they require a lot more patience. They require a lot more love and patience. That would be the advice I would give. I think the most rewarding part probably came after I retired, to see all the achievements they've made and maybe feel like maybe I had a small part to play in that. I've had former students who've gone into medicine. One of my former students was the police chief down at Forest Hill. They become teachers and principals. I had one to tell me that he became a writer, some story that I had them write when they were in middle school. So I've had a lot of successes in that I've been able to see those students become worthwhile, contributing citizens to our country.
I wanted to be a nurse. And the reason I wanted to be a nurse was because I liked the uniforms that they wore, the white uniforms. But then it's good that my mother said no, first place, and she went on to tell me why she didn't think it was a good choice. You were scared of blood, you were scared of the dark, you were scared of, and then I decided, well, maybe she's right. So right away I knew that I wanted to major in English. All kids were different, and yet they were the same in that they expected an education. I wanted to teach the whole child, not just the book, but life. You know, we cannot direct the winds, but we can adjust the sails. And that's what I thought about all the time, that I was there to try and help them find themselves. My students and I enjoyed each other. I mean, we did so many things together. You know, I can't pinpoint one thing. We did community service. We worked in the classroom. We did research papers. We did book reports. All of that, all that was necessary. I always had activities for them. I had dinner at my house. At the end of the year, baccalaureate service, we'd always go to my house after baccalaureate I did a big dinner for them. A lot of things have changed, but kids are still wanting the same thing. You know, they're wanting you to care about them. They want to know that you care and that you're interested in them.
I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to inspire the students. I was a member of the Toastmasters Club. And with that club, I found out that there was so much information that was very helpful for the student. The club is called Excelsior Zenith Club in high school. The teacher must want to be a teacher. That's number one. And you have to have love for the students and co-workers, because you can't be successful if you're not working with them. I would encourage teachers to teach their children, number one, about one special word, and that word is respect. I have one ex-student who ended up being the superintendent of FWISD. So that was Mr. Dansby. You know, when something you've done and they come back and tell you what you did, it helped me so much to get where I wanted to go and everything. And you know, they didn't pay us very much money. So that was my money. The fact that that student was able to come back and tell me what they liked, that I did that helped them. And that means a lot.
I went into teaching because I had an interest in children and I wanted to make a difference in their lives. And when I went to college, I went to be a teacher. For today's teachers, I would advise them to be fair, firm, consistent, treat people with respect, and remember that all people deserve respect. You give respect, you get respect. And to be human, learn to laugh at yourself sometimes. Don't take life so seriously. I see students today who still recognize me. Some of them I recognize immediately, but I mean, I can call their names, but they come up to me, they talk to me, and sometimes the first question is, are you still mean? And I said, yes, I am, mean as ever. But of course, they knew that I had their best interests at heart and that I made decisions based on what was best for them. A young man came in, and of course they come in for various and sundry reasons, from 90 days to 180 days. And this young man came in and they brought him in to meet me, and I told him, I don't care why you're here, we're not gonna look back, we're gonna move forward. And I said, if you mess up, you're gonna get on your knees and I'm gonna hit you over the head. And he laughed and he went on. The next day he came back, he said, you know what? I said, no, what? You remind me of my grandmother. I said, you know what? I'm old enough to be your granny. And from that day forward, he started calling me Granny. And he was successful. He recovered approximately 7 courses, 7 credits, and he went on to be a success at his high school. The most rewarding part is to see kids who get in trouble, make mistakes, as we all do, but they learn from them, they move on and become successes.
When I moved from New York to Texas, I tried to be a teacher when I found out that, having a magnet school program starting in Fort Worth ISD, that's a great way to just, enroll and help these youngsters. And I'm teaching kids from all over the county. And they were highly motivated and wanted to go for high school for science and engineering program. I had students went almost every year for the science fair, regional science fair, to the state and also international science fair. I give credit to the students because they work hard, and also support from the parents, because parents are the main part in community. At Stop 6, there are so many bright students who really involved in this program. And it has a lot to do with their motivation. So if students know that this is what their expectation is, make sure that you motivate them, have them making interest in a science and math and technology. That way, sky is the limit. Dunbar used to be from 1983 all the way to 2007, 2008, always be top team in the Fort Worth ISD. Especially in 1995, Dunbar had first state winner in a basketball. At the same time, we had a first state winner in a science and computer and math. I think a lot to do with the program. It's not me, it's the students who are really motivated. And Dunbar community and Dunbar students really participated in that, and I'm proud of them.
Since the time I was just very young, say maybe 4 or 5 years old, and my mother would always ask, well, what do you want to be? And I always said I wanted to be a teacher. And she would just go, are you sure? And I go, you know how much responsibility that is? And I go, yes, but that's what I wanted to do. And she said, well, you're always reading, and so maybe you would make a good little teacher. I think the most rewarding part of teaching was getting to know the students, knowing how to maneuver with them, and knowing that if they really liked you, they would do anything you say. A company had sent to us in the mail some information about a writing contest, and you could win a trip. We did it, and as a result of that, 3 students were so good. The class said, oh, Ms. Wallace, these are the 3 people. So I decided right away then, we're going to mail these in and see what will come of it. One little boy, and I believe his name was George, he won. And on the day that he won, the kids came running from the office. Miss Wallace, George won that contest. Come, they're waiting for you on the phone. So I went down, and she said, oh yeah, he's won. He has a free trip to New York, and you're going with him. And they just explained it all. And I think it was about 3 months later, the phone rang. He said, this is George. My dad said that we had such a wonderful trip, and we never would have gone to New York if it hadn't been for that project. So he said I should call you and thank you for that.